Listen, Eric, I know you've been trying to have an excuse to wear sunglasses inside, but giving yourself concussion may be a little too far.
Psychos and sickos unite for a damn, it's been a minute, edition of the PHNX Suns pregame show, of course, brought to you by our friends over at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. You do you. At Gila River Resorts and Casinos, visit playatgila.com for more details. I'm back and half the crew just left. Well, I guess Steven is out there at the morgue. Espo, of course, handling family business as a family man does, but we're holding it down. I'm Eric, that's Gil. We got the Freckled Mamba behind the Mac, making all of the magic happen. Thank you all for joining us here in chat. Prince of Troy, Sean, Cara, Book, Sunwalker, Julio, Kev. I see you, Kev. Emerson, thank you all so much for being here with us on a Thursday night as the Phoenix Suns are finally playing a basketball game. Gil, it's been a minute. How you doing?
It's been a minute since they played a game. It's been a minute since I've been sitting here next to you, and both feel good to get back.
Cleaning out the ears a little bit. You're like,
gotta get used to it again.
I mean, yeah. So, congrats to everybody who didn't have to adjust your volume mid-show for the last week or so. But yeah, you know, it's been quite a week. Found out that I was working with a concussion for 3 days last week without really realizing it. Got home after the Thunder game on Wednesday, the watch along. I was like, damn, I don't know if it's the beatdown, but I don't feel too good. Had to go to the hospital, take care of some business. Did we get rid of the Suns must win emoji while I was gone?
I didn't do it. Someone did.
No.
Wow, the things that happen when you're away.
For tonight?
Wow.
I'm going to have to talk to somebody about
We'll bring
that.
in some must-win energy, though, at least for tonight. We'll have to do that.
This is a pretty big game, Gil.
Massive game.
I know that you guys covered it on the 3 p.m. show this week, which I highly recommend people go back and watch some of those as well. But let's just get right into the Suns must-win meter as the Suns take on the Warriors tonight because it's a high one. We got Steven at a 7.5. That's close to a season high for him. Espo at a 10. Gil, you're at an 8.5. I mean, come on. I'm back. The Suns are at a 10. Come on now. And Ayrton at a 7.5. You're at an 8.5, which is high, but not through the roof. Why 1.5 less there?
I just didn't want to be too eager, but like the 8.5 is like pretty high for me. I said 10 last Wednesday because it was the Cup. 8.5 because I know you'll play this team again. But I mean, I feel like that's pretty up there.
So do you think the next game, if they lose this game tonight, which they're not going to, we're putting that energy in the air, then Saturday is a 10?
Absolutely. You got to get one of these two games, but hopefully get both of them. But I think that it skyrockets a little bit with the loss tonight.
There's a lot of reasons why I think tonight is as much of a must-win as a regular season non-cup game can get. One of those being I'm back. So please, for the love of God, win the game so that I didn't fight through this for nothing. Okay? Number two, it's been 10 days since the Phoenix Suns won a basketball game.
Yeah.
That's a long time. And this is a team that you are battling with in the standings. I know you guys talked about this over the week, but you're 1.5 games above Golden State. So you lose these next 2 games. Golden State jumps you for the 7th seed. You drop down to the 8th seed. By the way, Memphis is tied with Golden State at 13 and 14. So if you lose these 2 games, depending on what Memphis does as well, there's a chance you drop down to the 9th seed. Now, it's not cause to panic. But, Gil, they got to win this game.
They got to win this game. And I think more so than just that, like you talked about, you already lost to this team once this year. So we're talking season series here, right? If you lose a season series to a team who you're jostling with in the standings, they get that head-to-head tiebreaker. You can't afford that. The other thing, you've lost 2 in a row. You don't want to lose 3 games in a row. You've lost at home earlier this week, which feels like forever ago, but you lost on Sunday at home. You don't want to lose 2 in a row at home. So thinking about all these things, you're playing a Warriors team that's playing with a sense of desperation. But at the same time, a lot of things are going wrong for the Warriors right now. They've lost a few games in a row, even though they welcomed Steph Curry back into the lineup. He's playing in Books tonight, by the way, which looks pretty cool. But saying all that to say, this team, you could put another damper on what they've got going on right now. Don't be their get-right game, and that's a big part of it too.
Well, this is also a team that you've already lost to this year, and a team realistically, I know that things don't look too great in Golden State right now, but with the talent that they have and possibly being able to make a move at the deadline, you're going to get to a point where this is probably going to be a team that pushes some more chips into the center of the table. They're going to likely trade Jonathan Kuminga, maybe the Phoenix Suns, maybe not. Get some sort of return for them if they can. You're going to be battling somewhat with this team as this season goes on. I'd say you're in a pretty similar tier for what we've seen from the Suns so far. Until we see them fully healthy, maybe we can move them up. But right now, I think they're in that tier. Already losing a game to them earlier this season. Now, no Dylan Brooks for that game, and we'll get to that a little bit more later. And you are missing another key piece tonight. It is imperative that you at least split this series.
Yeah.
Because you can't go down 0-3, you lose the season series, and then at that point you lose any sort of tiebreaker that you have against the Warriors.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's really key when you talk about the barometers and measuring where you are and the tiers in the Western Conference too, right? Like, you've done well against the Lakers. You split so far up to this point. You've beaten the Timberwolves twice already, and you can't go down and lose games to this team who you're measuring yourself up against. Obviously, they have Stephen Curry, who is still an all-world talent, scores 48 points on Sunday. He's playing extremely well at an extremely high level. But after that, everybody else has been trying to figure out what to do around him. And I think that when you talk about measuring yourself against these other teams in the Western Conference, and you want to say that you're right there, or you want to say that you're better than this team, you can't lose 2 times in a row to them. You really can't lose 3 of your first 3 matchups with them.
Yeah, especially because you've had time off. I know we've talked about how brutal the schedule's been, and maybe it's been a little jarring for the Suns to really hit the brakes and slow down. But you came out last game, and you were competing with the Lakers, then you got down big. Then you fought back, and you've got to be a little bit upset with how that game ended. Now you have a chance to go back and play a much worse team in Golden State in these next 2 games. Give yourself a little bit of a cushion as well. Before we get into the injury report, which there is, of course, a name that we need to get into, and we get into all of our predictions, I want to hear from the coaches on either side of this. Now, Jordan Ott talked about his takeaways from the last game against the Warriors where they did take it out.
I think, like, globally, I think you can take a look at it. Being in their arena, we didn't have a great response or a great readiness to start the first quarter. They're super aggressive defensively, so we got to take care of the basketball. And then their pace. Not only do they play fast in transition, they're unique in how, I think I mentioned it post-game, how fast they play when they get from point A to point B to point C, and they just keep it going. The ball moves. That's a little bit different. So it's kind of unique to them, their own unique style. We referenced that this morning, but until you get out there, they put you in so many different binds. And then defensively, they've been fantastic this year. So I think there will be some carryover, but of course, the personnel is different.
Well, of course, that's Jordan Ott on the Warriors. It would only be fair for us to give a chance for Steve Kerr to talk about the Phoenix.
Brooks missed the first game that we played, and obviously he's playing now. I think he sets a good tone for them. They're very physical. They're forcing a lot of turnovers, generating points off their defense. They have a real identity. I think Jordan has done a fantastic job. They're really well organized offensively, and then defensively they just play hard every night. So really tough team, very impressive. I mean, to me, one of the most impressive stories in the league when you kind of consider where people expected them to be and where they actually are. And it's just a clear-cut identity and playing hard every night.
I think it's like aligns with what we've heard from basically every coach in the league, or at least every coach that's gone against the Suns this year, that this team plays hard. You can't take a night off. Their effort is going to be there. And Steve Kerr acknowledging that the last time these 2 teams played, Dylan Brooks wasn't around, as you just mentioned before. And that was the game where he picked up a tech on the bench. But thinking back to how that game went, it was kind of similar to this Lakers game this past Sunday, where the Suns didn't really stick to those principles and they didn't pay attention to detail the way that they needed to. And the game got away from them, but they kept chipping away and had a chance to at least make things interesting at the end. So when you're a team like this, I know we'll talk a little more about it with the injury report and the keys to tonight's game, you don't really have that much margin of error, especially if you're not at full strength. And when you have an identity that you stick with, that's the reason why you find success. That's why this Suns team is where they are, 2 games over 500. But if you don't stick to that, then you risk falling back under 500, and you've come too far to this point to let that slip away.
It was high praise from Steve Kerr there. I mean, talk about it as one of the best stories in the NBA. And I like that they're still getting this respect, even though their record has dipped down. A big part of that has been, the schedule that they have been faced with. And with that schedule has come some not so great play from Devin Booker as well. And as we look at the injury report here, he's going to need to really step up tonight on the Warriors. So let's take a look at that injury report, of course, presented by our friends over at the Husband and Wife Law Team. If you've been in an accident or suffered a serious injury, call the Husband and Wife Law Team first at 602-783-8841 or visit their website at husbandwifelawteam.com. For the Warriors, Al Horford is out with old and Pat Spencer is out with personal reasons. For the Suns, no Jalen Green. That's, as we've expected. Isaiah Livers was upgraded to questionable for the game, but he is still out with his right hip injury. Grayson Allen, right knee injury management, was questionable, has now been ruled out. Jordan Goodwin is available. He has a sprained joint in his jaw. We have a Jordan Ott on the updates on all of these Suns injured players.
Grayson and Livers, both out. Grayson, we don't think anything serious. It just happened in the last game. He's able to move and be productive on the court right now. Continue to monitor and see how it goes. Isaiah is still the same thing, the hip. He's had some good days leading up. He's got to be showing progress. Again, it's just so unique to him and what he's got going on. So, and then Jordan Goodwin will play with a mask on tonight. Just a jaw sprain, got hit in practice, and he'll be ready to go.
Yeah, when we got this update, I said it out loud. It's like you take one step back and then you take two back. It's like you take one step forward, take two back, and it's just like, man, we're thinking this team is getting closer and closer to full strength, and then Grayson Allen was something that popped up over the weekend, I guess, in the Lakers game, and I guess didn't respond the way they wanted it to throughout practice this week, which is really tough given the fact that there were 3 days in between games. But at the end of the day, you have to think about the big picture, and I think that we're getting closer still to this team getting back to full strength. Obviously, you mentioned the upgrade with Isaiah Livers, but then him getting back downgraded. You get concerned about that because he's had those recurring hip issues in the past. And then, interesting enough, to see Masks Goody tonight, too.
I'm kind of excited. Can we just go ahead and make the blue collar boy
Mask
graphic?
Goody?
And Jordan Goodwin, he's worn a mask before, so we could definitely find a picture. I feel like Jordan Goodwin plays half of his games in masks. Yeah. I'm very excited for that. He's definitely going to do something notorious tonight. I mean, him and Draymond Green and Dylan Brooks going at it, and Jimmy Butler. A lot
of blue collar out there.
And this might be a blue collar off, but at the end of the day, we're going to be looking at the two stars, Gil, Steph Curry and Devin Booker. Yep. Both guys that have had interesting stories throughout this season. With Steph, we've seen some really great individual performances, but we have seen that his team has not really been lifting him up. And for Devin Booker, while we have seen some good performances from him, overall, it really has felt like that team has risen and he hasn't hit that superstar level, maybe besides the first couple of weeks or 2 weeks of the season. Yeah. Is it going to come down to tonight, Steph Curry, Devin Booker, may the best man win, and so will that team?
It's hard to argue that. I think, we talked about it a little bit. Maybe like Devin Booker has had success against the Warriors in the past, and he had 38 the last time these two teams met, obviously in a game that did not go the Suns' way. But what better night than tonight to get back going, right? Like the way that the Warriors defense is going to play him, he's going to have to find his spots and work a little bit harder, especially with Grayson Allen not available tonight. But I feel like he's been on the precipice. Like he's right there on the cusp of this breakout. He got to the line really well in the second half of that Lakers game. I think he sent something and found something. He was doing some mid-post work as Stephen Prejean-Garner kind of documented today.
I like that, the full government there.
As Stephen documented today at shoot-around. So I feel like he's right there on the verge of that. And obviously we know who Steph Curry is. We can sense that frustration with him, the fact that the guys around him aren't doing. He made 12 threes and scored 48 points and they lost.
Yeah.
Like that's got to be tough. But watching him, I think tonight, and especially as a fan, but also the Suns, it'll be really important to remain composed. There's going to be 2 or 3 plays where Steph just runs around and dribbles around and turns around, just shoots the ball in the air and it goes in. Mm-hmm. And you just have to know that that's going to happen 2 or 3 times today. Don't hang your heads. Stick with it and stick to your principles. So I do think I expect 2 big games from the stars. And I think Devin Booker, a breakthrough for him would result in success for the Suns.
The good news is you won't have your own teammate rooting for Steph Curry hitting threes tonight. So that is a positive for the Suns in that direction. Do you know what percentage Devin Booker is shooting on wide open threes this year? Wide open threes.
If I had to guess,
that's 6+ feet of space.
Oh, I'm going to say something like 29%.
Lower.
25%?
Lower.
19%?
Higher.
21%.
Higher.
23%?
22.9%. That is the ninth worst in the league. Sandwiched by Cooper Flagg at 22.4%. And Ja Morant at 23.1%.
Man.
It has not been a good shooting season from deep for Devin Booker.
No.
And without Grayson Allen tonight, who's had his own struggles recently, ever since he came back from that quad contusion, it kind of needs to break free tonight. I know he's been able to have these good scoring performances, but with this team, they're going to go as Devin Booker goes. Yeah. This is about as must-win as you can get for a non-cup regular season game. And Devin Booker needs to show up, and he needs to show out. Plus, you're at home as well, which is a really big deal. The starting lineup for the Suns tonight, business as usual, is if Grayson Allen is out, which means Colin Gillespie, Devin Booker, Dillon Brooks, Royce O'Neal, and Mark Williams in that starting lineup. Obviously, we're going to look at Devin Booker. Besides that, in the starting five tonight, who is the number one other starter that you feel like needs to step up and have a big game?
I mean, stepping up, Mark Williams can rebound the ball better than he did on Sunday, and he had 16 boards the last time these two teams played. I think it was 9 offensive rebounds.
And weirdly enough, I felt like it was one of his worst games of the season as far as impact goes.
Yeah, it was interesting because the numbers say one thing, and then you go back and watch it a little bit, and he looked like he wasn't fully engaged, I think. It was like he was kind of halfway engaged trying to pick his spots. And the Warriors are a tricky matchup, especially for a more traditional big man, because a lot of times you're matching up with Draymond. A lot of times you're matching up with somebody like Trace Jackson-Davis. Sometimes you're matching up with Quentin Post, which is going to be difficult for him because I have my eyes on that. We've seen it with Chet Holmgren. We've seen it with Will Williams. Big men that like to stretch the floor test Mark a little bit because he doesn't necessarily know if he needs to go out there. So will we see some cross-matching to keep him towards closer to the rim or something like that where he can play in more help side defense? So him being impactful on the glass, but defensively as well, not letting Quentin Post get his on the perimeter will be big for Mark Williams tonight.
I think he's done good guarding the perimeter on switches, but it is when he's kind of caught in space and there's a lot of moving pieces, which this Golden State offense and Steve Kerr, how he's designed it, is there's a lot of off-ball movement. I mean, you watch just Steph Curry for a couple possessions, you might give yourself a concussion with how much he's running around that entire court. But obviously, if you are able to find a way to contain Steph, I do wonder who gets the Steph matchup tonight. You kind of got to imagine it's Colin Gillespie with those young legs running around there. You put Dillon Brooks on Jimmy Butler, Royce O'Neal on Draymond Green, kind of have Mark roam there. I don't know. Maybe you put Mark Williams on Draymond Green and let Royce. I don't want Royce running around at Quentin Post. Never mind. It's going to be interesting to see how the Suns defensively try to contain a Golden State team that offensively doesn't really have the firepower outside of Steph Curry. I think for me, I am looking at Colin as that second most important starter just because we need those threes to fall tonight, and he has the ability to take over a game from deep. Obviously not like Steph Curry, but in that same realm of this guy can hit 3 threes in a row and completely shift the game. In fact, he's done that this season before. So I'm really looking at him to come out there, facilitate well, but at the end of the day, shoot the 3-ball well, get some pressure off of Devin Booker, allow Devin Booker to play in some space, get to that mid-range shot, see a couple go through the hoop, and then hopefully that translates to that deep ball for Devin Booker as well. Those are a couple keys from us. What about some keys from the full government? Stephen Prejean Garner. Key number 1 is 48 minutes of execution. In fact, in that game against the Warriors, it felt like the Suns, when they lost, they still played a good full game, but there were a couple of mistakes there at the end, and one from a guy who was on the bench, like you mentioned, in Dillon Brooks, getting that technical that got them out of that game. So playing a full 48 minutes against this Golden State team, all of their deficit skill, all of their offensive, incapabilities, they're still a strong veteran team with one of the best coaches in the NBA, one of the best players. Key number 2, half-court defensive physicality and communication. And key number 3, small-to-small pick and rolls and paint touches. Out of the keys, 1, 2, and 3, which one ranks number 1 for you?
I highlight the 48 minutes of execution. And what that says to me is that you're a team who doesn't really have that wide of a margin of error to begin with. And then when you're down Grayson Allen on a night like tonight, that becomes even that much slimmer. So you can't really afford lapses, especially against the Golden State Warriors. But even the way this team is made up, stick to your principles, especially after a game on Sunday where you did not execute well for 48 minutes. That shows that you've righted those wrongs. That shows that you're paying more attention to detail. You're taking care of the glass. Defensively, you're connected, you're communicating. Steph Curry is going to get his, but are you going to let other people get theirs and get comfortable? That's part of the execution, that attention to detail. So I'm really keeping my eye on that and playing 48 good minutes of basketball.
I think for me, it's key number 2, the half-court defensive physicality and communication. Obviously, because of what I just mentioned with how Steve Kerr runs his offense, where there is just a lot of movement and a lot of moving pieces. But there is just one key. Right, there is just one guy. Prime Warriors, Clay, KD. It's like, okay, well, we can't just focus on Steph. Tonight, you got to let the others beat you. And to do that, you can't let Steph get loose and get free a little bit. That's the communication on switches. And that's the physicality through the switches as well. Yeah. Look, the Warriors notoriously are illegal screen central, right? Which is why they should trade for Nick Richards, because then he'll finally be able to get away from it or with it. But they're going to get physical with you in the half court. They're going to run screens to get Steph Curry off of drags, get him in motion, get him running in the corners, and get him just an inch of space, which is all he needs. He gets 2 or 3 to fall, then all of a sudden it doesn't really matter how well you're communicating and how physical your defense is. It might just get to the point where he's nuclear. So communicate, be physical enough to make him work to get his shots, maybe force him to get some paint touches, which he's still good at, but not as good as he was obviously 10 years ago, and force him off of that three-point line, drive him, and a lot of times that's, okay, my guy's getting caught up on a screen. I'm over here and I'm helping. I got to just, boom, run out there and force Steph off the line, because if I'm even this far away from him, he's going to shoot the 3, and that changes everything from a gravity perspective. It's going to be interesting. Mario Not Bros 2 says, where have you been, Eric? I've been talking with the University of Michigan as far as taking their head coaching job. No.
Don't go.
I got a concussion, my guy. So I had to be out for a little bit, also hence the shades. But look, we still are going to go through and watch this game. We're going to hold strong, Gil, and we're going to get to our pre-game picks, of course, brought to you by our friends over at Bet365. Download Bet365 app. Use code PHNX365 when you sign up. Deposit 10, place a bet for 5, get $150 in bonus bets. Whether your bet wins or loses, bonus bets can be used on spread, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. You must be 21 plus and physically located in Arizona. If you're someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, text NEXT-STEP to 53342, or visit problemgambling.az.gov. I don't know what the standings are. Let's just take a look. I guess I only missed one game. Oh, shocker, I lost. Espo at a -190. I'm at a -77.75. That just sounds good. Ayrton at a +12, dangerously close to negative territory in just 2 more games. And then Gil. Yeah, congrats, man. +149.50.
More cold streak, though.
I know, you hit 2 bets.
And then that's it.
And you haven't hit it since. But you know what? That's just kind of how it goes. Are you breaking the curse tonight?
I hope so. I sure hope so. I don't know. We'll see.
What are you putting your money on?
Yeah, let's see what we got here. We have, I'm going with the Stars. Devin Booker, over 35.5 points, rebounds, and assists. I mentioned he had 38 last game. I think he's on the verge of a breakthrough, and that is indicative of that. Steph Curry, 25-plus points on a heater, but not sure how the defense is going to hold him. So his line was 28.5, so I took it down a little bit just in case the Suns' defense does its job. And then Mark Williams, do your job, my man. Points, rebounds, double-double tonight for him, plus 550 with a 30% boost. So let's see if I can get back on track tonight.
So if he gets a double-double with assists, then you don't.
Oh, you know what?
Get it.
Yeah, yes, you're right. Any kind of, if he gets rebounds and assists, who knows?
I mean, what a night that would be, huh?
Any kind of
10 assists from Mark Williams? Imagine you just put money on that specifically.
Oh
my God. It'd be a millionaire.
Yeah,
okay, this is what Espo's putting his money on tonight. Devin Booker, 7+ assists. Steph Curry, 7+ 3-pointers made.
Let's hope not.
And Jimmy Butler, 7+ rebounds, parlayed together at a +1,200. Honestly, I don't hate it.
I could see it.
Like, I could see all of it. Jimmy's been grabbing lots of boards and assists recently, so we'll see what he does. It's Espo, though.
Let's
so
hope
that
Steph
means
doesn't make 7 threes.
You know what's going to happen is that the Golden State stuff's going to happen, and then the book stuff's not. What about for you, Ayrton? What are you putting your money on tonight?
With only $12 left in my bank, I need to try and get some easy wins here. So I'm going Devin Booker over 25.5 points. Mark Williams, 7+ rebounds. And I'm going to get connected tonight. Oso Ighodaro over 11.5 PRA. That's 340 with a 30% profit boost.
People forget Oso Ighodaro's first start in the NBA was against who, Ayrton? It was the Golden State Warriors. The Golden State Warriors in November of last in November
People forget.
of last year. Oso Ighodaro had a pretty good game against Golden State there. And what about me? Will the concussion change my betting luck? Who fucking knows? But maybe it's tonight. PHNX Suns, PHNX Suns money line. Man, that is that concussion, huh? Suns money line. Steph Curry over 36.5 PRA. Devin Booker over 35.5 PRA. All parlayed together with a plus 30% profit boost at plus 625. Any final thoughts before we get to our score predictions for the evening?
I mean, you maybe misspoke, but I'll take the PHNX Suns mini line.
I mean, I'll take that too.
I'll take us
We're
over
winning.
anybody, man.
We're winning.
Yeah.
Us over everybody. Anybody else on Golden State that we haven't talked about that you got to keep your eye on if you're the Suns?
Moses Moody in the starting lineup. I know he can free up and get some threes. He's one of the guys who, if they are overplaying Steph Curry or you lose your discipline and get disconnected defensively, I think Moses Moody is a guy who you'd be afraid of having a big one. And also, this could be an audition for Jonathan Kuminga tonight.
That was going to be the question. Here, around the table. Over under 7.5 minutes for Jonathan Kuminga. Over or under?
Double digits.
Easily over. Easily over.
Easily.
This
guy's been out of the rotation.
Double
He's
digits.
Showing him off.
He's getting
I think
rewarded.
it's double
This is
digits
an
also.
audition.
Yeah, I think it's double digits.
I'm taking the under.
Okay, there
I'm
we go.
going a solid 6 minutes.
Can't wait to revisit.
Minus 14 for Jonathan Kuminga because he's going to tank his trade value so that he can get here just for Nick Richards.
All right.
Salute to Jonathan Kuminga. Let's go ahead and take a look at what Bet365 has as far as the line for tonight. At home, the Suns still underdogs, plus 1.5 on the spread, plus 110 on the money line. This is what it was before the Grayson Allen injury news officially came down for the Warriors, minus 1.5 on the spread, minus 130 on the money line. Pretty much a toss-up, but when you are the road team, usually you're about 2-point dogs. They're saying the Warriors have a pretty good shot here to pull off a win. Both teams coming off of 2 losses in a row. Both teams very hungry. So what do we think actually happens tonight? Let's get to our score predictions. Clean sweep across the board, all 4 of us. If the Suns win, Steven, Prejean Gardner, by the way, 124 to 117 Suns win. Espo with a 3-point Suns victory, 118 to 115. Gil, 121 to 114, and I'm going with a 10-point Suns victory, 125 to 115.
Yeah, I mean, one of these days we have a clean sweep. It's going to result the right way. So again,
have we not had
tonight?
that yet? I feel like we've had to have, right?
Maybe against the Kings.
Yeah, probably against the Kings.
But this is a big one tonight, and I've said it already. It should feel like a playoff atmosphere. You mentioned the losing streaks both teams are on. I think that this is going to be a sense of desperation. Should be some intensity, blue collarness, maybe some chippiness. I'm excited about it. Should be a good one tonight at the Mort.
Shout out to 16VTH87. I like your name. Says, hi, I've been binge watching this past week and I'm new. Then boy, must you be surprised to see me. It is nice to see you, 16. I'm just going to call you 16. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks for binge watching, and glad we can get you here in this doldrums of the Suns season, right in the middle here. Just a couple of games in a couple of weeks when things pick back up. Just a reminder, we do pregame shows, postgame shows for every single game. Plus, we'll throw some watch-alongs out there. Not for this game. I got to rest my brain. But we will begin to watch-alongs again very soon. Mario with a great question. Says, who gets the first technical, Dylan or Draymond?
I'm going Draymond.
Dual techs.
Double.
3 minutes into the game, they're both going to get into it right off rip. They're going to be jawing at each other, getting at it, and then 3 minutes in the game, double technical foul.
I could see that. I could see it.
Oh, by the way, there's a mention about LeBron and getting ejected and all that. Can I just, I for one was flabbergasted, shocked, floored, just absolutely taken aback by the fact that the Los Angeles Lakers, led by Luka Doncic and LeBron James, were favored by the refs unfairly.
It's crazy.
I can't believe it.
Crazy stuff.
I can't believe it.
Crazy
The
stuff.
Lakers, LeBron and Luka, favored by the refs? I thought I was tripping. I thought it was the concussion. I'm like, there's no way this could be true. Not the Lakers. Nobody likes the Lakers, especially the big market bias. The league would never do anything to rig anything for them. Like letting Luka get traded there and then giving the Mavericks the number 1 pick. But anyway, Let's get out of here. You can follow the show at PHNX_Suns. That is on Twitter. We do live tweeting during the game. We like to have some fun. Plus, we bring you, of course, up-to-date injury updates, stuff from practice when Steven is out there, clips and post-game, everything. Plus, we'll let you know whenever we are live. An absolute must-follow if you're a Suns fan at PHNX_Suns. Shout out to Freckle Mamba beyond the Mac, making all the magic happen. You can follow him at Freckled Mamba. You can follow Gil at Gil McGregor _. You can follow me at ERIKRUBY. And remember, wait, I can't remember. Oh, yeah, we'll see you guys in postgame.
We all silly like the mayor.